What's going on, guys? Brand here with Dude Fish, coming at you with another video. Today I want to talk about kayak tournament fishing and how I prepare to fish a kayak tournament. A lot of my preparation starts before I even get to the lake, especially when it's a lake I've never fished before. I like to look at Google Maps, Navionics web app, and there's a couple more apps that I use. I use the ProNav Angler GPS system on my Minn Kota trolling motor, and their app has got Navionics integrated in with it, so I can look at that map on there. I can mark waypoints, I can mark routes, and before I even get to the lake. Then when I get to the lake, I can pull it up on my tablet or phone and go straight to the waypoints that I mark. Today I'm going to show you how I break down a map and mark waypoints and routes before I even get to the lake. That way when I get to the lake, I've already got a game plan. So anyway, I'm going to show you how I use the ProNav GPS system to locate fish. So let's get started, guys. Alright guys, let's open up the app. Here we have a lake that I'm going to be fishing in an upcoming tournament. Being in a kayak, you can't really run all over the lake and pick spots, so fish different spots. So I like to look for an area that's got a lot of different things in it: points, creek channels, shallow water, docks, road beds, creeks. This little section right here has got pretty much everything all wrapped into one, so I can break this section of water down. I'll start out probably at the mouth on the main river, and I'll look for I notice there's a lot of road beds, miles of road beds up in here, so I like to fish the bridges on the road beds, underwater bridges. So I'll mark them on the ProNav. I'll mark this one Bridge 1. Save it. Then I'll move on to the next one, mark it. I'll name it Bridge 2. I'll save that, and then I'll move to the next one. I mean, there's just a ton of bridges in here. So I'll go through and mark all the bridges, and a lot of the bridges are, before they flooded the lake, they're made out of wood, so a lot of that wood's gone, but the wood's over a a creek channel, so there might be some debris left. It's worth checking out. But the concrete culverts and bridges, they just blew them up, and there's big chunks of concrete on a lot of them. So if I mark a bunch of these, I'll just, when I get to the lake, I'll pull it up on my tablet, first bridge, and I'll hit go to, and that trolling motor will carry me right over there and anchor me right on top of it, so I can look at it on my depth finder and see if there's any fish on it or what it looks like, chunk rock or whatever. If I see anything interesting or any fish on it, I'll fish it for a few minutes, 5 or 10 minutes. If I don't get anything, I'll move to the next one. So I'm just going through here, guys, and just marking all the submerged bridges on these road beds. And I think in this one section there's 43 of them that I marked. So I could spend all day just looking at those, going from one bridge to another, just spending about 5 or 10 minutes looking at each one of them, marking them for fish, if there's any fish on them. And they're all different depths. A lot of times you can key in on a bridge that's a certain depth, say 15 foot, that the fish are holding on, and they might not be holding on deeper ones, say 20 foot, or shallow ones 5 to 10. But you can graph enough of them with your depth finder to see if there's fish and what depth they are, and you don't have to hit all of them. You could probably hit 5 or 10 and fished a few of them. If you start catching fish on them, then you can just duplicate that. There's so many bridges in this one area that, you know, it only take 2 or 3 bridges to hold fish to have a awesome day. But I usually like to fish at least 10 of them. But you can see right here on the map, guys, all the bridges I've marked. I think there's 44 of them in this one area. You can see the waypoints on the map. Just a ton of them. But the next thing I like to do is move on to other things that I found while I was marking them bridges. Here's a hump right here. It's 15 foot of water on top. And it drops off pretty steep. So I'll mark it. Put a waypoint right on top of it. And I'll give it a name. Top, hump, just something simple. And then right out on the back side of it, it drops off into the creek channel. So I'm going to put a waypoint right there also. Right there, it drops straight off into the creek channel. So I'll graph it and see if there's any fish on it. And we'll call it hump creek channel. And then I noticed something else over on the right side over here. When I was marking one of those bridges, one of them's a railroad bridge, and there's railroad tracks. The tracks are probably gone, but it's probably a little 2 or 3 foot rise with gravel. You know how railroad tracks are with big chunk rocks. So I'm gonna mark a route on it. I'll just mark a route, and when I'm fishing that bridge, I can click route, and that trolling motor will follow that railroad track, and I can see what it looks like on a depth finder, see if there's any fish on it. And then right down a little piece, there's another part of the railroad track. It's probably a couple 100 yards long. And when I'm fishing that bridge, looking at it on the depth finder, I'll punch that route into the ProNav, and it'll go right along it, and I can check it out. On my side imaging, down imaging, see if there's any fish on it. We'll name this one Railroad Track 2 and save it in the ProNav. Then we can move on to the next thing. Back in the back looks pretty shallow, but there's a creek channel with a big curve, big bend in it. I'll make a route right in the middle of that creek channel. And I'll come up to where the curve is and the big bend. A lot of times there's a lot of stumps and rocks, or there's a sharp turn in the creek channel. So I'll check that out. It runs between two islands. I'll have a route, and I can run it pretty fast on the route and check it out with a depth finder and see if there's anything interesting, stumps and rocks and stuff like that, and see if there's any fish holding on it. Always a good summertime place. We'll just name this one Shallow Creek Channel. Save it. Just a lot of options, guys. A lot of options in this area. Got bridges, some riprap. Got train tracks with a riprap on it. Here's a deep little hole right here where the railroad bridge goes across with some riprap. That's always a good area in the summertime. So guys, I mean, I've got so many spots marked already. There's no way I'll be able to fish all of them, but you know, if I'm fishing a tournament and I got 2 days of practice, first half of the first day I'm gonna probably start out on them roadbed bridges, just go from one to the other, just looking mostly on my depth finder, trying to find some fish on them. You know, I might fish a couple of them if I see something, but I'm pretty much just going to go from one to the other and look at it on the depth finder. And like I said, if there's something interesting, might fish it for a few minutes, but it's mostly just looking, riding around and looking with the trolling motor. And you know, if I grab 5 or 10 of them, nothing happens, you know, then I'm gonna move on. I'll probably fish the railroad bed and graph it and check it out and see if there's any fish on it. And then if, you know, nothing on that, then I'm gonna move on. Next thing I like to do is docks. There's a ton of docks in here, so I'll start fishing some docks and see if there's any fish on the docks. Just trying to eliminate water, guys, on that first day of practice. I mean, there's a ton of docks. You can see all the docks going down the bank right here. There's marinas in here. It's got docks on it. Probably a couple hundred docks in this section, so you know, there are some deep ones too and shallow. So that's another thing, you know, if you do catch some fish on the docks, you can eliminate, are they on the shallow docks or deep docks. So you know, you just have to mark each thing off and try to put something together. You know, are they on the road beds on the deep stuff? They on the railroad beds? They on docks? You don't get anything on docks, then I got another option. You know, there's some good long points, deep points that drop off into the creek channel. I'll try those, and then if all else fails, I can run to the back up in the creek right here This creek goes a long way. I looked at it on Google Earth, and looks like a lot of brush up in there. It goes for miles though, so that's another option. So that first day is just trying to cover a lot of water and a lot of looking at the depth finder and trying to see fish on it, and if you do, try to catch them, try to put something together. So, but this area is a perfect area. It's got everything: deep, shallow. It's got creeks, points, standing timber. That's the kind of areas I like to try to find when I'm fishing a tournament, especially on a new body of water. And then you just go and try to eliminate certain things. You think they'd be deep, being summertime, but you can still catch fish shallow. So just trying to put something together, and but that's how I use the ProNav Angler GPS system. I can just punch that stuff in and it'll carry me right to it, and I can check it out with a depth finder. There's nothing on there, move to the next one, it'll carry me to the next one and anchor down, and I can just eliminate a ton of water and try to figure something out. But that's how I do it. I hope y'all enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, hit that like and subscribe button and hit that notification bell to be notified of my future videos, and we'll catch you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.